welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. If you hear a bit of noise in the background, Steve's doing some kitchen chores, and we're just really pressed for time today, so he's going to keep going and I'm going to keep going. Hopefully the noise doesn't bother you. So 3 interesting books today, very, very different, and yet they all have a similar theme of a person losing themselves in some kind of a fashion. And in some of the books they find themselves, and in some of the books they don't. So I'm not going to tell you that ahead because I don't want it to be a spoiler. They're written quite differently and their intentions are very, very different, but they're really interesting. They are definitely a good combo of books to read. So Monica Kitt writes The Crane. And this is a Canadian author, and I believe she's from Newfoundland. Am I a liar about that? Calgary and St. John's, and so a back and forth kind of gal. This was chosen by Jolene's book club, Reading Across Canada book club, and we are talking about it tomorrow night. I'm going to be interested to see how people settle into this book. On the surface, it's a very simple tale. There's 2 brothers, taking place in 1968, and it originates in the U.S. and moves to Newfoundland. We've got James, who is the main protagonist, and his brother Dave. And it's not a spoiler to say that Dave has died in the wars in Vietnam. They're both of them were they twins? Yes, they're twins. And they're around that 19 years of age where the draft is in place. So Dave, I think, volunteered. He was really, excited to go to war. James, not so much. He was at university, and then when his brother left for war, he quit university and went to go and help with the family business. So when they get the news that Dave has died, then James knows that because he's left university, college, he's next. He's vulnerable to the draft, and he makes the decision to evade the draft. He has a reason for going to Newfoundland. His brother Dave had a friend in Vietnam who had something that he wanted to do when he got back to the U.S. Because they're both dead, James decides to take on this quest, if you like, for the friend of Dave. We meet James's parents and some of James's university friends, and then we meet the people up in Newfoundland. James's journey across the border is not particularly fraught. It's a fairly simple bus ride. Not that this is before there's a big problem crossing the border, and Canada's accepting what was that called? I guess they were called war dodgers. What was that called? It doesn't matter. So it's pretty easy for James to get into Canada. It's not like he has to go through an underground process to get here. Well, the problems are mostly at home. He's left his mom, who is in a loveless marriage, his dad, who is pretty crippled by his own wartime experiences and the death of his son, and the dad has decided that all hopes for the dad's own feelings of I don't know. I don't exactly understand the feeling. It's like somehow there's pride in having your son go to war and then come back alive, but it's about your own feelings, not about what the kid suffered while they were at war. So like dad's in that little knot of thinking. And so when James leaves to come to Canada, he doesn't tell his parents he gets here, and he knows there's no going back as far as his dad is concerned. So we're seeing James's journey through the decision making of having to experience his brother's death and coming to terms with his own decision with respect to the war, and then arriving in Newfoundland with Newfoundland is kind of another planet in the 60s, and especially from where he's from, and I guess he's kind of rural Maine kind of situation, and yet St. John's, Newfoundland is supposed to be a city, and yet they're kind of the same in a way. Okay, so James ends up having to finish the quest of Dave's friend, and ends up in an outport in one of the places along St. John's coast, and it was fisheries kind of a place. A lot of families are experiencing the fisheries poverty, and so it's a completely different world. I liked the story, and then Steve read it, and then I started to think, maybe I don't like it as much as I thought I did. It's one of those moments where someone brings an idea forward, and it's like, oh, gee, that skews the book for me a little bit. So you either like a lot of background to the main character, and we do get a lot of the characters being described in James's life, or you don't. And I think Steve didn't particularly like all the background information. I would agree in a way that there's a bit more of it than is necessary, but at the same time, it wasn't really bothering me. I didn't mind the backstory so much. I think there are other characters that I maybe would have preferred to know more about. There's some people in St. John's, Newfoundland that I kind of felt underfed, and then there were characters in the process of coming from the States to Canada who were involved in helping to get Ward Dodgers draft dodgers like they just helped to facilitate that, and there were a couple of characters there that I think I would have liked to spend more time on. I think the journey across the border is where I would have, in a way, preferred to have spent a bit more time with James, as opposed to his time mulling things over, I guess. It's hard, yeah, so I think I would have, he spends a lot of time with his family thinking how he's going to make this transition. And in a way, I think I would have preferred to see him in connection with the draft dodgers and how their experiences helped to decide him. Now that would have been a completely different book, and I'm sure if Monica Kidd had thought about it, she would have included it. So that's just me adding to the depth of the book. So when we come to discuss this, we've got one or two Americans who are in the book club. So I'll be curious to see what their side of the coin is like, how they feel about the Vietnam draft dodgers. I don't think Canadians are particularly on one side of the coin or the other. So it'll be interesting to see whether they, the other two people are my age, so they would have been around at the time that this was happening. So I'm curious to see if they've got some opinions on how people left the US. Okay, the next book I've got for you is The Bearing. And this is a collaborative, there we go. This is a collaborative book between an artist and a writer. The artist is Nancy King Schofield, and the author is Elizabeth Blanchard. I know that the artist Nancy King Schofield comes from New Brunswick. These ladies have been friends for over 20 years, and so I can make a fairly good guess that Elizabeth Blanchard is from there as well. It's presented by Mouton Noir Acadie and was originally published in French. So this is a book in translation if you're looking for that kind of a book, and it is also geared towards young adults. It's a short story. It's I think there's something like 45 pages. And some of those pages are taken up with Nancy Schofield's art. And, well, you can see on the cover, too, she's got quite a lyrical, what's that word when colors are similar to each other? Homogamous? No, that's not. Oh, Lorene, words are not a good day today. Okay. Homogeneous. So I think what's happened here is not necessarily has she painted according to the storyline, But I think what she's done is chosen pieces of artwork that match up to the sense of the storyline, and so that this picture comes when the main protagonist is deep in the woods. So now I'm talking about it from an art point of view because I know Nancy's daughter, Alex, and she is an artist as well. And I also know that according to Alex, her mom has got a shed full of art. So I think that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I think that some of this art has been drawn from different time periods of Nancy's career as an artist. The storyline, did I say that it's meant for young adults? It's kind of a fairy tale. It's kind of eerie and spooky, and it's also a kind of a myth in a way, and it's very beautifully written, very evocative of the woman who is the main protagonist and her son, and I don't think either of them get named. I don't think anybody gets named, and so we know them as the mother or the boy, and there's a father as well who is not He's instrumental in the story, but he's more as a respondent as opposed to the actor. We know the father by his last name, Crabber, and the family is called Crabber. That's their last name. The parents have been waiting for a long time for a baby, and what takes place is they receive a letter that there's a baby available for them. So they get in the car, they drive somewhere, they pick up the baby. Upon the receiving of the baby, mom loses her heart to the child, and so there's literally a hole in her chest, and so she is like having this incredible experience of this newborn as well as losing her heart, and so she becomes so enamored of this child that she cannot let him out of her sight. And this is a dilemma because it continues right on until the child is I'm going to say in their early teens, because it's rural New Brunswick. There doesn't seem to be a high school involved, so I'm saying like around grade 9 there's a crisis. And over the course of these years, so 0 to grade 9, as the boy is growing and becoming more and more independent, the mom is trying to figure out ways in which she can still remain completely connected to this kid without over time being noticed. So he doesn't want mom to be so close. His friends are making fun of him. So she's got to figure out how to go into the woods and not be seen. She learns to track him by scent. She learns to track him by listening for his voice. And so she's got all these kind of primitive methods of keeping an eye on and being close to him to protect him from whatever it is that she sees as dangerous. And so the boy is a typical boy. He wants some independence. He's trying to, get away from things. And dad is ready for him to join the boat. He's a fisherman, and so logically the boy will finish school and join the family fishing business. So that's not going to happen with mom's agreement, and so the boy sneaks off, and we end up with quite a conclusion that it's I can't even begin to give you little details, but it is unexpected, it's eerie, it's beautiful, and it's ugly at the same time. And so I think the writing in this book is really lovely, and you really get to see the home and the surrounding countryside, but primarily the relationship that the mom has to what's going on with the boy. It's not a great relationship. She's not harmful. You don't have to worry about that, but she has a really skewed perspective of parenting. And so, I'm kind of surprised surprised it's young adult. I can see why, from an adult's point of view, it might not be something that would get picked up. I can see from like choosing who's your audience, but it's such a weird story about parenting. So it's just a weird story. But I think as lovely as the writing is, what really makes this book work is the artwork combined with the prose. And it's just a beautiful little expression of two artists collaborating and really understanding each other's medium. And so if you're looking for something to treat an artist friend with, for a birthday present or something, I'm sure they would love this. This last book I'm going to talk to you about is Masatsugu Ono. I read, this is Japanese, translated by Angus Turville, and I'm sure that I picked this up because I had read something else by Masatsugu Uno's. I think it was, he wrote The Water-Covered Grave as well as Boat on a Choppy Bay. Maybe I didn't, because I don't remember those titles. Anyhow, this is a very interesting little book. Again, it's a good shorty one if you're looking for something to be like a palate cleanser between some stuff. It's heavy. The content is heavy because we have got the young boy who his name is it's a ghost story. And the ghost's name is Bunjai, and the little boy that sees him he's got the same name as somebody else, so it's one of those. Tak-eru is the young boy. He has a brother who's nameless, and he has his mom who's also nameless, but we have a little bit of back and forth in history going on. And there isn't necessarily the clean-cut chapter headings to let you know that you're in one times frame or another. It's you're in the present, you're in the past, but the past isn't very far in the past because it's through the lens of the boy, Takeru, and so there's that kind of a complexity. Takeru is one of these kids who's had a lot of bad things happen to him in terms of, let's say, unstable parenting. And he sees the world through both eyes. He sees the world sort of in the present, but then he rationalizes it. But then he can flip the coin and rationalize it in a different way. So if someone's given him the gift of a snack and a baseball cap, then that person doesn't show up again. He never sees that. He blames himself. He thinks, well, maybe if that lady had known about my brother, that lady wouldn't have disappeared. So he's dealing with these constant comings and goings of adult in his sphere and not really understanding the reasons why an adult would come and go in a child's life. There's also this younger brother who's unnamed that we get the picture that there's something not right. It's not clear. I don't think there was ever a real description. He's a nonverbal child, and they're twins, but Takeru is the youngest by about 8 minutes, but feels that because he's the youngest, and in the culture of Japan, it's usually the older boy who is dominant. And so he, as the younger child, is dominant over this brother that is nonverbal, and there are other issues. And mom is single. She's a single mom, and she ends up latching up with a violent lover, and then eventually a second lover who's not, and they don't know about each other, and that turns into a little tornado. And we see that little tornado, but one of the pieces I didn't get was why exactly Takeru ends up in Lion Cross Point, which is a small village on one of the ocean towns. Ocean Villages, fishing town. And So there, I'm not 100% clear what was the precipitator. I kind of get the environment and what is plausible, but it's not 100% stated. And then, of course, I don't think Takeru really understands why he's there. When he's in this small village, that's when he discovers the ghost, what did I say? Benjui. And no, Bunji, there we go. Bunji seems to be the ghost of another child that went inexplicably missing. And is Bunji a messenger of what's happened to Takeru's older brother? Is he just a manifestation that happens to inhabit that community, but only Takeru is the only one able to see him? We have this kind of duality of memory and loss of memory and doubt. And Takeru does not suffer from an abundance of self-confidence. He's just always ambivalent. And as a result, his worldview continues to be unstable in a way, unreliable in a way. He's just never 100% sure what's going on around him. I suppose if you were to put this in like really black and white terms, you would say like he's really struggling with PTSD. But it's more than that. It's more just his worldview and how he struggles to see and not feel assured about just not feeling the world. I think is just a little bit of a bouncy place for him, and he heads towards formality as a way of at least trying to construct conversations so that he doesn't precipitate something else. And so, but it's not like a big exploration of what OCD is like, but this is a fairly sensible solution from Takeru's point of view, is that if I am very clear in my language, then maybe I won't mess it up again. So that's about the story. It's not very long. I think it's under 100 pages, about 120 pages. And yeah, I found it a fascinating read. I sort of read it through once and thought, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. And so then I kind of dippy-doodled into it just this morning at breakfast to say, just to try and see if I'd missed something. But I coming away from it, I realized the author has deliberately skirted a number of facts. There's a lot of plausibility in the story, but there's not a lot of absoluteness in terms of cause and effect. From the reader's point of view, it's not just Takeru who's a little confused, but it's not a confusing book. But I think you're deliberately doubting yourself, which I think is the intention of the author, because that helps you to experience the Takeru's own mindset. So you end up in the brain of this child, and then it just ends. It's like it's a rational ending, but it's not also in the way of ghost stories. I haven't read many Japanese ghost stories, but those that I have do not have a neat little ending. They've got some sort of other element that comes in to bring the story to a halt, as opposed to an ending. So, well, that's it in terms of what I've read. Coming up, Steve and I went to the library, the Killam Library here at the university, and we picked up 2 books. The other one, I thought I had this one on my shelf for sure, The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin, and that's going to be in the New Year's, I think early January. I have to have this read for one of my book clubs, so that's on the horizon. But for next Monday, I am supposed to read The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. And this book club, we did Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury not so long ago. And, I still stand by these kinds of old hardcovers. I don't know what they did to the corners, but they're always, when they've been read a while, they're bent, but they don't kill you the way modern. Do I have one here? Yeah, it's like the modern publishing industry. Like, you could kill a wildebeest with these corners. They're just deadly. And I don't know whether they're using the same kind of product. It feels different. And also modern hardcovers quite often, well, the library for sure puts the glitter stuff on, but do I have a, no, I don't buy hardcovers as a rule. But I like reading these ones. They've got a nice weight, and the paper quality, oh my God. It's got, the slightly deckled edges. It's just a beautiful cotton paper. Oh, I love these kinds of hardcovers. So why did we choose this? I don't remember. I think someone else suggested that this was a really good short story. I was expecting a short story. It's a whole novel. So I have no idea what I'm getting into. We were told that The Illustrated Man was not science fiction. And because Dandelion Wine was not science fiction, we all thought, oh, this could be really cool. Now, why we went for Ray Bradbury for the second time in 2 years is like pretty much unprecedented that we repeat an author. I don't know why. Maybe we were tired. Maybe the wine was really rich that day. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to this. Everything I've read by Ray Bradbury has been really enjoyable, and so I'm curious to see what else he's come up with. So that's it for me. Yeah, I still have a huge pile of books. You can sort of see it over there a little bit, and I'm looking forward to the December reading. I got my Christmas lights up. They look a lot better in the dark. As so many Christmas decorations do. Have you ever noticed that? We spend all this money on these really like tiny, intricate little things and these lights, and then it isn't until you turn the lights off in the room and the main lights, and then the Christmas tree lights go on, and you go, oh, that's a nice tree. And sometimes in the daytime, people will come in and go, oh, that's a nice tree. But really, they're just being polite. It isn't until it's pitch dark that the tree really looks good. It just, as I'm saying this, thinking, oh my God, what a waste of money. So I came across these twinkle lights a couple of years ago, and last year I just flung them up here. I don't know what inspired me to do that, but I did. So I replicated it this year, and the lights go down, and they look really good. And I'm not into it this year. I'm thinking that this might be it. I don't know. We've also had a drought in Nova Scotia through most of this summer. And so I'm thinking I'm going to go buy a Christmas tree, put it in a pail of water, and it is going to shed. And I'm thinking I will have paid $35 for a stick. So do I actually want to experience that? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be wrong? Do I want to take a chance and find out just how bad the drought was in my living room? I'm a lot like Takaro. I know what I'm supposed to be thinking, but somehow my brain just leads me down these paths. And I just think I would be so annoyed if all those needles fall off. So good luck with your Christmas tree buying, and I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. I'll see you later.